Next up, from Sindre Sorhus, is an AI-powered audio transcription tool called Aiko that runs locally on your Mac, iPhone, iPad, and Vision Pro for $22 across all of these platforms. Local transcription means your data stays on your device, but it also means the app is quite large at over 3 gigabytes on the Mac and 2 gigabytes on iOS. Let's pop the Mac App Store out of the way. I already have Aiko up, and you can see that the interface is quite simple. You can drag an audio or video file onto the window. You could use the Open button to navigate to a file, or you can select the Record button. I have a 4-minute audio file that was exported from a video interview I did at CES in a very noisy press event. I'll drag that file from the Finder onto Aiko. As soon as I drag the file in, Aiko gets to work. At the top is a progress bar, and in a few seconds it starts to type out what it's transcribed. In under 30 seconds, it will be finished creating the transcript for us. While it works, I'll mention that Aiko requires an Apple Silicon Mac with at least 16 gigabytes of RAM and macOS 15.2 or later. The faster your machine and the more RAM you have, the faster this is going to go. Now that we have this transcript, let's look at what we can do with it. In the top right, we have a copy button, and also you can see a downward arrow. From there, we can export as text, text with timestamps, JSON or CSV files, and we have 2 different subtitle formats. SRT files are a great way to embed subtitles into your YouTube videos for the deaf and for people who need to be able to watch silently. You can also share your files out as text or text with timestamps without downloading the files. I'll select Export as Text with Timestamps so you can see what this looks like. I'll save it to the desktop and then use spacebar to launch Quick Look to view. You can see that Aiko has broken the text up into short segments with timestamps. I'll hit the spacebar to make that go away. Let's do one more export, and this time I'll choose SRT and again save it to the desktop. One more time, I'll use Quick Look so we can view. While the text with timestamps file showed hours, minutes, and seconds, SRT files show you the time down to the millisecond and have a different format. You can see the arrows and line numbers. This information will be interpreted by systems such as YouTube to create the subtitles you need. I'll close this window with spacebar. Let me select and then delete the 2 files I just created. Back in our toolbar, moving on to the 3-dot menu, you can see the processing time. And this proves I did not speed up the recording. You were actually watching it do the transcription real time. You can also see the number of characters and words transcribed. I'll select Clear Transcription, and the text disappears. Guess what? You can't get it back. Let's just check the Edit menu. You can see that undo is not an option. It's not hard to redo a transcription, but if it was a long one, you might kick yourself for having to run it again. So be sure to export before you clear the transcription. Behind the scenes, I ran the same transcription again, which you can see here. Moving across the toolbar, we have a microphone where I can record my voice and have Aiko transcribe everything I say. The first time you use the microphone button, it will warn you that this is for short transcription needs, and if you require long-form transcription, you should use voice memos on the iPhone. I'll press the microphone button. Aiko instantly starts recording my voice. Aiko automatically uses whatever mic you've set in your sound input settings. Under the word recording in the upper left, it shows my Elgato Wave XLR microphone interface. If you don't see the dots, the red dots, jumping up and down in the interface right here, that means you've chosen the wrong microphone, and you can verify that right here. Now notice that the text of the previous transcription is still visible. But as soon as I hit transcribe, the previous transcription is gone and is now replaced with a transcription of the audio I just recorded. Just like with clear transcription, the previous transcription cannot be recovered. I'm sure that you've noticed that the transcription incorrectly transcribed the word Aiko. The app has a setting that will help with a problem like this, but we'll get to that in a moment. Now, what if you recorded your audio with Aiko and you cleared the transcription before saving? Turns out you're not lost. In Aiko, under File, we have menus for the import, export, and share options we used from the toolbar, but we also have the option to show recent recordings. When selected, this opens a folder buried deep in your user library. You can see the path down below, and it has all of your recent recordings. Now, it's nice to know those audio recordings are preserved since they're much harder to reproduce than a transcription. I can just drag the audio recording right into the Aiko window, close the Finder, and our transcription is ready. In the upper left of the Aiko window, notice that it says English Auto Detected. In the menu bar, if I choose Language, you can see that it drops down a giant list of 100 languages to choose from, including Slovenian. Now let's take a look at settings for Aiko. At the top, we see Audio Language is set to Auto Detect. This is where you can choose the default language you prefer. If you have audio in another language, you can actually have it translated to English as the transcription is being created. When producing subtitles for videos, like the SRT file I showed you earlier, it's good practice to keep them relatively short. Here in Settings, you can toggle each segment to be 84 characters to be optimized for subtitles. If you have certain terminology and names, such as Aiko, that you'll be using in your transcripts, it might be a good idea to go into Prompt and give Whisper the information. Under the I, Sindre explains that you can use the prompt to enhance transcription accuracy in punctuation, terminology, naming, and tone. Let's test this out. I'll paste in a prompt that I pre-wrote that will help Aiko to spell its own name and a few details about me and my podcast. I'll hit Done, and I'll close Settings. Now I'll use the microphone to say the introduction I use for my podcast. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever-so-slight Apple bias. Today is Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, the 20th anniversary of the NosillaCast. I hope you enjoy this transcript created by Aiko. And Aiko spelled everything perfectly. Let's open up Settings again, this time with Command Comma. You can also use word replacements, which will help Aiko fix common misspellings such as technical terms and names. I'll just tap Done. If you're worried that you might vaporize a transcription before remembering to copy it, you can have Aiko automatically copy your transcriptions when completed. Now, if you don't use a clipboard manager, you might want to consider using one. Don't forget to paste it somewhere right away. You can have timestamps on by default. And let me slide things over. You can see in the background that it added the timestamps. It'll also break up longer sentences into smaller segments. I'll toggle that option off. By default, Aiko restores the last transcription at launch, but you can toggle that off so you have a fresh screen every time you launch. I showed you where Aiko is storing your audio recordings buried deep in your user library. If you use Aiko a lot, you could end up with a very bloated user library if you don't toggle on auto-delete recordings older than 7 days. It's not a great place to store files, so it's best not to get into the habit of storing them there. I would recommend that if you don't auto-delete, go in there once in a while and make sure you clean things out. If you need to save battery power, you can tell Aiko to reduce resource usage, but note it will slow down the transcription creation. Let's scroll down so we can see Advanced. I use other transcription apps that, like Aiko, depend on the open source library Whisper AI, and on occasion you'll see a transcription repeating sentences or words. This is not Aiko's fault, but these two toggles might help that problem. Be sure to read Sindre's warnings before using them. You can try using Flash Attention to improve performance. Now, if you want to live on the wild side, you can try his new audio recorder that's in beta right now. Let's flip over and take a quick look at Aiko on the iPhone.